The dungeon. At the moment when the energy of deception and failure accumulates to the limit, the underground labyrinth begins to form regardless of the location. He feeds himself with the energy of the dead, and creates sweet bait to lure more food. There is always an abundance of monsters around her, because in the heart of the dungeon, there is an artifact. The older the more dangerous the dungeon, the stronger and more expensive its artifact is, which is probably why in recent years, instead of taking care of the populations, many kingdoms focus on controlling dungeons and searching for artifacts. Dungeons capture the hearts of people. In the forest, someone said not to lower the shields. Back row, keep up. Be careful, you can only touch this plant, as it will remove you and inject poison. The knight said sorry, understood. Our hero told a step too much without an order not to step, especially when they approached the dungeon. Someone said look researcher, our hero's name is Stitch Affler. A knight in golden armor said this place is a dungeon. Our hero said yes, that's right. This is one of the scariest dungeons in this kingdom. The knight told the blaster to unpack the luggage and line up the soldiers. We will enter as soon as we are ready. The servant said do you want to say already? We've been getting here for a whole week. The journey back and forth, also 2 weeks long, is more than enough for the brothers to try all the tricks, said the knight in gold. Our hero said how cool he is, since he has so many soldiers. And he was also able to hire a class of researcher, Mr. Stitch. Well, there is no reason for our hero to refuse the offer, because he will get a share from this. This dungeon is just as dangerous as a Ranka dungeon. Our hero can't imagine what might be inside. However, with such help, it is quite possible. No, it's more than possible. Golden, said the explorer. Let's move out. Our hero uses the active pathfinding ability R7. The ability to find the shortest path to the destination. The ability to find the shortest path and safely walk along it. This is the quality of a class of researcher. There is another ability, Animal Instinct. Level 6 increases the sensitivity of the fingers and toes and gives the ability of echolocation. Human senses abilities, ultrasound vibration detection. The abilities of a researcher, similar to the clairvoyance of a magician, what our hero does for a living. The hero said of course that others can also see it. The knights say this researcher doesn't look reliable. Can we definitely trust the investigator behind him? Another said I don't think Mr. Harold hired him for nothing. There is an army in the dungeon with torches. Our hero said I will go through the place first. He said when you walk, look carefully at your feet, but beware of the ceiling. The ceiling to this was sharp stones. The guard asked how the hero knew. Our hero said every time he takes a step, he hears the creak of a spring behind the wall. He thinks the traps have been here since the day the dungeon was formed and is clearly already rusty. But the floor can still be connected to the trap, so stick to the wall when you move. The knights told him how he heard it, how it was even possible. The heart of the dungeon. Like an investigator, not a magician or a warrior, this is the last stage through which he cannot break through himself. The knight asked are we on the spot? They said before we head to our target. The shield bearers moved to the front of the formation. Advanced defensive formation. The knight asked the hero, how do we awaken the dungeon defender? The hero said it very simply. A big tiger man appeared. The knight said don't panic, front row forward. The tiger started breathing fire. The knight said let him break through. Activate the shield wall. Shield wall. Shield wall. Forms shield wall with the help of 2 or more people. Gives resistance from physical and magical attacks. The commander said crossbowman from the back row. Aim. In the mouth of Tereska. Or said Mr. Ballistock. The fire is too strong. Due to poor visibility and wind pressure, it is difficult to shoot accurately. The commander said it was much stronger than he thought. He said they can only aim at Tarask's mouth using their senses. Then, he called our researcher our hero. The commander said can you use some kind of ability to aim Taraska mouth? Our hero said, no, I've never used anything like that. The knight said I asked if you could aim. The hero said he did not think that such a thing could happen. But he is a researcher, a class, a Stitch Affler. Our hero said I'll try. But before the fire spread even further, just aim for the center. Animal Instinct. The hero said it worked. The knight said don't lose focus, it's just beginning. The hero said wait. The monster attacked the hero. The hero said damn, not fire. It wasn't the fire that was the problem. Incredibly, where did he get so much strength from? How is this even possible? Let's take something off. The knight said not one of our attacks fails. Through his armor, the commander said shield. Use a shield strike and knock him down. Since his back is firm, it will be hard for him to stand up. Ours is almost hit by a monster, but the knights use a stitched punch. A blow with a shield strengthens the shield and pushes the opponent away. There is a chance to confuse the enemy with physical damage. The commander cut the monster's muzzle with a sword. The knights used the shield attack again and dropped the monster on its back. The Golden Knight said, Mr. Herald, now is the right moment. The Golden One hits the monster. Our hero was surprised. The Golden One cut the neck of the monster, and so they killed the monster. Everyone started shouting, we won. We killed him. Someone said, MB actually killed the dungeon defender. Is he finally going to see with his own eyes? The artifact said, our hero. The knight said, hey investigator. Our hero said, what? The knight said, you said your name is Stitch. He heard that our hero, although an investigator of a class, but our hero did not manage to clear at least one dungeon. You passed all the traps without any problems, but since you never managed to reach the heart of the dungeon, I suspect it was all the fault of the dungeon defender. Golden said, if I was right, then it turns out that this is the first artifact that you see live. Our hero said, yes, that's right. The Golden One said, then can you touch the artifact? Our hero said, don't you think I can take him and run away? Golden said, yes, I thought about it. But of course you will pay with your life if you get caught. Our hero said, as we agreed, everything except the artifact in the dungeon is mine. Even without taking into account the artifact, this is an excellent profit. But nothing will happen if I just look. Our hero said, well, then we'll see. Our hero touched and he was electrocuted and began to tear the skin. The Golden One said, I'm sorry for that. Our hero said, here's a scumbag. The Golden One said that artifacts are sources of all kinds of negative energies. They just don't get into the hands of people. Our hero said, The Golden One said, we won't forget your help. The commander said, the blast, the curse seems to be lifted. The Golden One said, great. And now we're getting out of here. Golden raised a small skeleton in our hero's hand and said, veins. And then our hero's body became a student. It lit up with a green flame. Our hero's system said, high risk detected. Active ability, and the unknowns recover and become. The commander said, retreat. The sword went through our hero. He shouted, Arabol Chicky forward. They said, it's useless, it doesn't work. The Golden One said, is it really this type of Xeno-ecotype? Damn bastard. Golden said, the artifact's reaction is already, and the commander shouted, the dungeon is collapsing too fast. Commander shouted, Commander Herald, we need to run. We need to hurry up and use the scroll. The Golden One said, so much effort was made to come here and get it, and this bastard took it and ruined everything. Artifact, run, said the commander. Right in front of my eyes, the artifact. Memento Mortem recognized Stitch Appler as his partner. Our hero fell into the water on his knees and said that this place is too dark. His body seems to be torn apart. Our hero noticed a ring on his hand, because after he was deceived by the Golden One, and our hero touched the ring. He said without a doubt he had to die. Damn, and now he's coming back. Someone said, right, you died. Stitch Appler. The skeleton's head appeared. She said, my not skilled partner. Golden said, we were able to escape. Are we the only ones who survived? The Golden One said, fuck it all. The commander said, Mr. Herald, please calm down. Golden said, do you think I can calm down? Golden said, the blaster, why did you use this scroll? The commander said, but things were really bad. We wouldn't have gotten out otherwise. Sir, no, your majesty. Golden said, my brothers already know for sure that I led the soldiers. Therefore, he should not have allowed the loss. And what the hell was it? You saw it, too, said the Golden One. You saw how he came back to life. No normal artifact, even a non-magical type, can move like that when the owner is dead. The commander said, to be honest, this is the first time I've encountered such a thing. If it's a parasitic type, then maybe it's an independent artifact. Golden said, neither one nor the other, it is an artifact of a symbiotic type. The commander said, never heard. The Golden One said, expected. The existing artifacts are usually divided into two types. The most common type. Most of all, there is an artifact of this type, which obey the will of the owner, so they are easy to use as a tool. And the other parasitic type, although it may be stronger, but when the host dies, the artifact also self-destructs. These are two well-known types. However, there is another, exceptional symbiotic type. Such artifacts can revive the owners by themselves. Apparently, this was the resurrection that we saw with the eyes of the commander. But no matter how strong the artifact is, it's hard to believe that it could survive among the crumbling dungeon. He is sure our hero was overtaken by death. The Golden One said it would be great if it were true. But for now we will return to the capital. No matter what city we pass, hang up ads everywhere about the search for our hero Stitch. If the reward is too high, we will attract extra attention. So make it smaller. The commander said, okay. Our hero in the dungeon said, what should I do now? What is this place? Animal instinct. The artifact said, I refuse. Our hero said that. And he electrocutes the hero. The hero said that you refuse what you want. The artifact said, Stitch Appler, I didn't let you die with the soul-saving ability. And I also tweaked something and lowered your stats. Our hero said lowered, salvation of the soul. The artifact said I'm just saying that I've lost part of my energy from you. An inept brat. The hero said what is it, why do I hear your voice in my head? The skull said memento mortem. My name is so. The hero said are you saying that you are an artifact? Are there any other artifacts that have consciousness, like you? The skull said of course not. Our hero said well, I'm glad that we can communicate. What else can I do with you? How many abilities do you have? Usually there is one unique ability attached to each artifact, but I can change them for a good price. And if the ability is useful, it will cost more. The skull said I'm functioning normally to get at least 40. Our hero said it can't be because a person can't have 10 abilities in his whole life, even if with effort the limit does not exceed 20. But with one artifact, I have so many abilities. Well, this is even too much. And now I can use some kind of use. The skull said it was possible, but he had already spent all his mana on resurrecting our hero. Let's have a chat while I get back on track. Our hero said mana, what is it? The skull said I almost forgot. You have only 12 hours left. The hero asked before what? To death, said the skull. The hero said what are you saying? I thought you resurrected me, so why am I going to die? The skull said bye. I will not die. You will live, and so on the contrary, as long as your heart is beating, I will not disappear anywhere. But if I have too little mana, then it's over. The skull said you thought you'd come back to life for thanks. If you want to live, know how to spin. He said. Our hero said and I can't warn you before that we will both die if you run out of mana. The skull said I'm not a mere mortal. I don't care about life. I was sleeping peacefully until you came and woke me up. Well, if it's hard for you to survive, I'll share my strength with you. But remember that you woke me up does not make me your master. Remember well that you are clinging to life here, and not me. The hero said okay, everything is clear to me now, tell me how to restore mana. The skull told me to use curse devouring, against weak monsters or curse tools. Our hero said, I don't know about the curse tools, but monsters, that is, you just need to catch a couple. The skull said yes, and you have 11 hours and 56 minutes left. The hero said I understood enough to drive me. The hero said there must be a lot of monsters near the dungeon. Animal instinct, a damn decrease in characteristics, then you will have to look for yourself, you need to find traces. The hero saw the tracks, he is sure that it was left by monsters, and the furrows on the trunks are also from them. It must be the great wolf. The hero said he found it. How long will the reduction of characteristics still work? The skull said 1.5 minutes. The hero said little. The skull said, the reduction of characteristics is superimposed when there is no mana. This is a kind of reboot. The stronger the ability, the longer the downgrade. The hero said well, there's still time. And there's only one wolf. It would be somewhat difficult. The skull said you have not recovered. The hero said do you have any attacking abilities? The skull said 1. An air bullet is a charge from the air. The hero said this is a basic ability that combat magicians use. How many bullets can I shoot? The skull said 1. The hero said no, you need to focus. Well, cancer, so I will try to aim at the heart and lungs. If we get anywhere, he'll pass out. And we can finish him off. And after restoring mana, it's good how much, since we only have one chance, don't shoot until I say, the hero said. The demon said this brilliant freak. An air bullet, this is a mountain-breaking cannon. An air bullet, the hero was sure that this was just basic magic. What kind of power is this? And didn't I ask you to shoot when I'm ready? The skull I told you is not a simple magical ornament with useless abilities. What they are afraid of is better to take and shoot. The prince said let's not talk about this devouring curses. Meanwhile, in the presence of the royal armies of the Venetians, King Bodarus has 3 offspring, the first Rathors, the second Alfred, and the third Harold. According to how much Rathors is the eldest prince, he is naturally the first contender for the throne. Therefore, the middle and younger son are trying to prove their superiority in every possible way. Golden said getting an artifact is a great way to make himself known. But now he will be looked at as a carefree libertine who tried to take the kingdom's dungeon. The commander said, what are you thinking about? About that fortune teller? Are you talking about Prince Alfred's henchman? Yes, why is his name Conrad? That bastard. Golden said I trusted the information provided by the so-called alliance too much. Although the fact that there was a curse on the artifact turned out to be true, the commander said that they hid the most important thing. The Golden One said the most important thing is we don't know yet whether it's on purpose or not. The Golden One can't do anything. The commander said don't worry about it. Prince, do you have enough experience on the battlefield? The commander said you will definitely overcome everything. He said that he still can't believe that politics is harder than the battlefield. The golden one said thank you. At this time our hero stood and looked at the ring. It glowed green. The hero asked how much mana is enough. The skull said not quite, but it will do for now. The hero said that mana was replenished only by 15% for killing the great wolf. The skull said something doesn't suit you. The hero said it can't be. Won't I run out of abilities if I use it 3 times? The hero said that they were probably looking for him because he took the artifact with him. He doesn't care anymore where to settle now. Before our hero enters the dungeon, the hero said we need to pick up my belongings. 2 guards, if I just go, the hero said, then they'll just catch me, what should I do? The hero said cat grass should work. First he will light it, and if you enhance the effect with phoenix powder, you will get a cool sleeping pill, although it only works for people. People said it was smoke. The woman said, look where it came from. The guy said it smells weird. The skull said I'm looking at your pot cooking. The hero said of course, because I've been around so many places. And he has already become an experienced researcher. Our hero saw on the search board that it was written thief reward 400 kron. The hero said what kind of scum hung all their dogs on me? The hero said let them look back more often. Well, okay, I have more serious problems now, our hero said. He can't believe that he became a wanted criminal in a day. He doesn't know how many leaflets they managed to put up in the district, but then it's clear to a fool that he can't see a normal life in this village. The hero said as long as I have this ring on my finger, he will somehow live. It's easier, of course, to leave the kingdom, but not with our hero's tail between his legs. The skull said, are you so eager for revenge? The hero said anyone would crave death, except for complete slobs. The skull said that's more interesting. If so, I'll help you, but keep in mind you're extremely lucky. After all, while I'm helping you, you're not vulnerable. The hero said what kind of nonsense are you talking about? After all, you can only use 4 abilities now. The skull said devouring curses is an ability that allows you to get rid of endless curses and sources of evil. Devouring curses are an ability that helps to get rid of curses and sources of evil. Do you think that's how I got this ability? My strength abilities depend on the amount of absorbed mana, Raskinka, brains, what's the point here? The more it absorbs, the more moaning our hero said, and if you absorb something with a lot of mana, will you become much stronger? The hero asked, can you also absorb artifacts? The skull said I can give you my power, Stitch Alter, help me take possession of the artifacts, then your revenge will be accomplished. And I will gain power? The hero said the golden herald, yes, this is weak, 1 blow is enough. Are you serious? If I do this, I can kill the fool with my own hands. The skull said of course. I let you feel what it's like to place opponents on the wall. They showed us a tavern. The guy said, hey Dalton, where can I buy a good hide here? And so that at a normal price? The big guy said leather, yes, it is necessary to ask around on the black market. Those bastards tried to sell her to me for wild money, said the man at the table. On average, they asked for 500 crowns. The big guy said, do you want me to advise you a good researcher? The guy at the table said, is this a new wanted ad? The big guy said a couple of new ones were moved. You can hang them on the wall if you want. The big guy said, Stitch, what did he do? Someone said, just don't lose it. You need to present it when making a deal. It was a wooden sign. Without a sign at the exit, things can be taken away. Who will begin to search at all? Our hero was standing behind a tree and said in such villages there is always a secret passage. Worthwhile goods enter only through the black market. The skull said, and what did you forget in this village? He said he thought you listened to me and you were heading to the dungeon. The hero told the fool to climb into the dungeon without a scroll to escape, the murder itself. Somehow I don't want to die prematurely. The skull said, you say a scroll like those guys have. The hero said yes, it's convenient, of course, that there are a lot of offers on the market, but the transactions are controlled so that they are not used for evil. The skull said, and what are you going to do? The hero said, don't worry, I found him, this Poe. The secret passage, I know like the back of my hand. Goblins eat freshwater base code word. Such a flogging was 3 months ago. Who are you? The hero said, I'm sorry, Dalton, I haven't looked in for a long time. There was no business in these parts. They said that Stitch. The big guy said, how many years, how many winters? What if someone else was here? Password. It is necessary to memorize properly. The hero said, but it still worked out. He has an urgent matter. He couldn't think of anything else. The big guy said it wasn't yours. Did he say that the back door wasn't for you? But I'm glad to see you all the same. Come on in. Maybe a line in greeting. The hero said this a little later. Will you let me stay here? Still asking, said the big man. The guy said, by the way, Stitch, what kind of wanted ad is this? Did you steal something? The hero said how quickly rumors spread. It just so happened nothing special. And so the claws that increase energy that I got from the great wolf. And high quality leather. Hurry up while there is in stock. The hero said what the scrolls are now. The big guy said 600 kron. The hero said to lend me a little. It's still fast, it's not for sale, and I desperately need money. The big guy said I won't give you how much you need. The hero said at least 4 scrolls. I'll give it back after tomorrow. The big guy said, not that I couldn't put it off, I'm just wondering what I stole. 400 crowns could have paid the name himself. One son of the local king behaved too brazenly, so I want to get it. I still have pride. Can I just give the money away? The big guy said, well, bragging about pride for 400 kron, also not very wise. I have a friend who understands scrolls. You can get cheaper from him. Do you need anything else? If you need a new weapon, ask Clyde, and we will write down the payment in my name. The hero said, get me some provisions. Someone hit the table and said, Clyde. Grandfather said, what do you need? Why bang on the table, idiot piece? The hero said, what are you doing? It's not even evening yet, but he's already completely drunk. Clyde said, and so I give for half the price, but no one buys anyway. Maybe that's why I'm not a lucky guy. Did you guess it yourself? The hero said, after your words, I wanted to make you a profitable offer. What is the best weapon here? Clyde said, what are you going to buy? The hero said, I certainly don't have much money. The old man said, sell it cheaper and I'll test it. I would like a decent weapon for the dungeon. Clyde said, you need to choose a weapon that will fit into your hand. Then it will be of use. You look like a strong guy and you have muscles. He said, how is it for you? The skull said, well, shit. There are mostly narrow passages in the dungeons. How are you going to swing this thing there? The hero said, that's right. Wait, if you behave like that. Then the skull said, don't break the fever. Only you know about me. The dwarf definitely does not have magic power, but weapons are another conversation. Amazing. The hero said that you are talkative today. Do you really know how it works today? The skull said, I'm an artifact, and I see everything differently. I can see the essence of objects, their potential and features. If you take something, it's better to take the sword that is on the far right. He stoid asked the hero. The skull said, if used correctly, then you won't even look in the direction of conventional weapons. The hero said, and said, you can't say that he is unusual. The skull said, believe me, our hero is fighting monsters in the dungeon. He said, yes, where did they just come from? The skull said, cut them down, devouring curses. It seems that he uses excessive growth energy. The hero said, so maybe we can try to get lapis lazuli. Why are there traps set at every step? Well, I'd better use them for spare parts. The hero heard a noise in the cave. Hey, visit there? The hero said, to go crazy, a mineral lizard. Okay, such a monster can really be a mineral lizard. The skull said, pull yourself together. Having the ability to resurrect does not mean that you have to constantly die. Active recovery skill automatically restores strength and heals wounds. The hero said he got a boring monster. Mineral lizard uses poisons. It contains substances and absorbs minerals. Therefore, his body is stronger than steel. With the strength of an average level, it's not that you can kill him, you can't even scratch him. Well, that's enough. You've gone too far. An air bullet in such a narrow space will cause a collapse. Great. The hero said, what's great about it? The skull said, this is a great chance to test Clyde's weapons. Did the hero say, now? Are you sure? The skull said, why? Are you going to save it for a meeting with the keeper of the dungeon? Or something? It's a good moment that Boo try it on a mid-level monster. Did the hero say it would work? The hero attacked the monster and is trying to break through the armor. The skull said, now come on. The hero said his hand was numb in general. I wanted to cut him down, but it turned out only to stick. Devouring curses, even gave a little, although I bought it for the purpose of testing. This gas is not so easy to get, and there are only 4 capsules left. Cloud tried on the interior upholstery, but if you shake them hard, there's something wrong. The hero said, what exactly? The skull said, I just can't say specifically, but I feel something is not right. The hero said, sometimes it's so hard to understand you. The skull said, don't relax. Too short a fight can also turn out to be a trap. The hero said, damn it, another one got out. That's why I said that you can't waste capsules in such a place. We need to save money. A good moment turned up to attack, and he is much stronger than the previous one tail of which is stable. It's starting to get on my nerves. Although, compared to Tarask, it's just an ordinary lizard. He's a little harder. The skull said, here's a stupid kid. I told you not to relax. We'll take something off for sure. The hero said, okay. You can immediately see that he is strong, but even he must have weaknesses while he is alive. Our hero was grabbed by a monster by the head. The skull said, Stitch. Even the goblin cubs know that it is impossible to be distracted during the battle. Pull yourself together. The hero said, you shouldn't be angry. Everything is going according to plan. What do you think if you mix Flemon's powder from the left hand and fireflies from the right? What will happen? That's right, the attack in his weak spots, with a light noise combat supply. The hero said it turned out to pierce his mouth with a sword. Then I will win. A warning came out, 96% of abnormal body tissues were detected. The skull said, Stitch, wait. Our hero said, oh. The skull said, I told you to wait. The hero said, the fool, it should have been said before I touched him. The hero said, what happened? The skull said, his magic began to control you. The hero said, magic. The skull said, it only means that the one who made his body abnormal is in the dungeon. But I don't know yet what he used for this. The hero said, that is, now I have to be afraid that subsequent monsters will explode. The skull said, I don't deny it. I don't deny it, which is scary. The hero said, what? You can't intimidate me with such nonsense. Understand that I used animal instinct. But there is no hint. What is it? Monster. The skull said, yes, monster. The hero said, he doesn't react if you don't approach him. Or maybe he just lay there for a long time. That's all in this position, the skull said. And this one, too, don't even think about poking into them. And then, for good, they will detonate more. The hero said, you're right, you say. The hero noticed something. He said, what about the skeleton? The skull said, Stitch, run. The skeletons exploded. The hero said, what the hell? I didn't even touch him. The skull said, come on up. The hero said that this wow is minerals. How much money can I get for them? The hero said it was a spark. The skull said, now I am convinced that I was so haunted. The hero said, and what? The skull said, you just don't feel it. This strange magical power that fills the dungeon. And the deeper we go, the stronger it is. It even annoys me. The further we went into the dungeon, the monsters that we had already met earlier begin to react faster to stimuli and are undermined. The hero said apparently because of the continuous impact of the country's magical power, they began to feel their surroundings better. That's what the skull said. And judging by what happened, this applies not only to monsters, this force affects all objects. The hero said the objects means this passage is a real minefield. The skull said, but that's not all, there is bad news. The hero said, bad where? Worse. The skull said, because of this strong magic, you can't use even a simple recovery skill. The hero said the truth. The skull said, and I also assume that, in this legendary situation, the escape scroll won't work either. If this magic continues to influence the scroll, which, in theory, should find safe places and help when exiting the dungeon, then on the contrary, it can lead us even deeper. The hero said escape is not possible. The skull said, but that doesn't mean we're trapped. I have no idea who released this magic, but killing the creature can help us get out. The hero said, it turns out that I will have to go even further. It's good that there is at least such a hope. As a result, I couldn't find the source of this magic anyway. It remains only to check only there. What's there to think about? Let's just go in. What else is this? The skull said, the genie. The hero said, the genie. And what is the spirit doing here? The skull said, take a good look at its core. Don't you feel anything? This is an artifact. The spirit is born from the fusion of power and magic. It's just a collection of elements that have no self-awareness, which seek to destroy everything in their path. Something like a natural disaster. Does his body contain an artifact? The skull said, this guardian is the cause of our troubles. His body has merged with the artifact, and he sprays magic in all directions. That's why the dungeon turned into a minefield. The hero said, then everything could not be simpler. If I destroy it, I can get out of here. Wait, what's that over there? The skull said, Stitch, if you want to stay alive, run. The hero said, you can go crazy. Grep said aside. The hero said, now, even a body made entirely of stone. Surely there are weak points in the joints that it just hung in the air. How can I do any damage to him, let alone a full-fledged attack? The skull said, artifact. The creature was created by merging with an artifact. If you absorb magic with the help of devouring curses, then he will be exhausted. The hero said, it's easy to say. Until I get close to it, it's not profitable. Well, then, an air bullet, I wonder if it can go through. The skull said, unbelievable. Step aside. Our hero said, that's an infection. Nothing works either at close range or from far away. All to no avail. Let's see if he can reflect this. Damn, it's a pity, but at current distances. Well, why didn't the air bullet work? The skull said, I've already said that you can't use magic skills against him to the full because of the influence of his magics. Did the hero say, did he say? The skull said, you're alive there. The hero said, what? You can't say that for me. It feels like I'm hitting ice. The skull said, Stitch on the left. The hero said, however, if I'm useless even in such situations, did I have the right to take revenge at all? There is no choice. Since none of my attacks do damage, then we can only rely on Clyde's weapon. If you purposefully hit in one place, then sooner or later a crack will form in the protective layer. Even if it's not big, but we have a chance to win. If I use it now, then there will be only one capsule left. If I miss, I'm finished. It is necessary to aim at the crack. What is he doing? Is such a huge thing going to turn around? The skull said, what got up, come on, dodge. Animal instinct. Our hero fell to the ground from a blow. The skull said, you haven't died there yet, I hope. It will not be said in the subject. But your body begins to show a reaction, it changes. The hero said, can I find out how much is left until the moment when it completely changes? The skull said, 3 minutes maximum. But depending on your condition, maybe less than a minute. Did the hero say the truth? Then this will be enough for the last blow. The body and the weapon have only one more blow left, which should be decisive. In such a situation, 1 or 2 mines. Quite enough. The skull said, that you removed, you want to destroy yourself. The hero said, don't joke like that. Air bullet. The hero said, while you were trying so hard to protect the core, slowed down and left the top unprotected. Great. The sword went in half, that's enough blow to be awesome. The skull said, Stitch, what froze move Stitch. The hero said, damn, I tried so hard, almost made it alone, and die so stupidly. Yes, where has this been seen? This can't be. Here it is, lapis lazuli. The skull said, yes, do something already. The hero said, I'll grind you to powder, stone head. He cracked at last, devouring curses. We go. The hero said, I got out. The recovery worked now, even though the body is without bruises and bruises. And it won't change anymore. Hands and feet are in place. Clothes always look like that after a fight. I will leave the condition check for the morning. The animal instinct level 6 has become level 7, increases the sensitivity of the fingers and toes and gives the ability of echolocation. Devouring curses has become level 4, makes it possible to absorb curses. The hero said, the level has increased, okay, devouring curses, but I did not hope in any way that I could improve the animal instinct. This is how, by the way, he should have already come out. Why is it so quiet? Hey, why are you silent? Did you fall asleep? What the hell is this? Did you almost shit yourself? The limit of the magic power of Memento Mortem has been increased from 100 to 150. Active skill air bullet, air blast, active skill unlocked including crossword puzzle. Did the hero say an air explosion? A crossword puzzle. Did I grow up thanks to an artifact? And why so many things? The process of discovering additional abilities of the skull artifact has begun. Currently the number of absorbed artifacts is 1. The number of saved magics is 8305 and a number of blocked abilities. Clyde said it could be fixed. He said that he would even try to strengthen and strengthen. The hero said, since the master himself says so, then my stoic can help a little. There are spare parts from traps from the dungeon. There is also loot from monsters. And this is an advance here of 3000 kron. I hope this will be enough to repair and strengthen weapons, as well as a couple of capsules. Well, work. Dalton's Tavern. Dalton said, you're back already. The hero said, what's the matter? Didn't you scold me recently for the destroyed dungeon? Or just someone liked my prey? Dalton said, what's already on the black market has already been bitten. Is that interesting to you? The hero said, no, sometime later, I want to rest a little upstairs. Dalton said, okay, if you need anything, tell me. Dalton said, that's really true. I didn't think he would demolish the dungeon alone. The hero said, hey, wake up, come on. The skull said, what? The head seems to be in prostration. The hero said, this, what happens until I activate the abilities? I don't really know anything. The skull said, it's like when he ran into you, I rebooted, thanks to which most of the skills and abilities were sealed. And I noticed something else when you absorbed the artifact yesterday. To be honest, an air bullet is the simplest and most basic skill that does not evolve, but it not only adjusted to you, but also evolved into a new form of air explosion. Anyway, optimized and became your own skill. The hero said, once you can't tell me anything new, so there's nothing to repeat the same thing. The skull said, when you master it, you can use it freely. It's hard for me to explain in words, but it feels like I'm remembering something long forgotten. The hero said, what is the aura of the curse that I chose? The skull said, I'll tell you about it when we clear the next dungeon. And when do we leave? The hero said, not before we take the weapon from Clyde. But first we need to sleep, I was too tired. Dalton knocked on the door and said, Stitch, we have a problem, get up. The hero said, what happened? Dalton said, Clyde. The hero said, step aside. Where is he? Hey Clay, what's up? What happened? Dalton said, hey Ash, did you bring what I asked for? One of the visitors found him lying in an alley and brought him here. Our hero said you that he was wounded. Oh, what a good potion. How much does it cost? Dalton said, not cheap. But when else to use it if not in such cases? Oh, he seems to be coming to his senses. The hero said, how do you feel? Did Clyde say where I am? Stitch. Dalton. I don't remember exactly who did it, but it seems to be connected with Derek Fagori. I saw one of the attackers among his sixes. Dalton said it again. The hero said, who is Derek? Dalton said he was the only jerk with a disgusting character, but I turned a blind eye to everything, because even though he was not pleasant, he did not cross the line. Once the bastard made a mess in front of everyone, well, I got him for it. That's probably why he was following Clyde. Clyde said, but that's not all. Those guys took the money Stitch gave me and said something. Until I put this freak behind bars, I won't calm down. Dalton said, Stitch Mallory that don't worry, I'll deal with him. And you better fix the weapon. And what about the spare parts? Clyde said there were no problems there. I handed over the advance and when I came back, they attacked me. The hero said, Dalton, send someone to Clyde's workshop just in case. I'll borrow your raincoat for a while. I'll be back soon, don't be bored. The skull said, you seem nervous. The hero said, enough. I just want to stretch my bones for once. The skull said, will you get rid of it? The hero said, if I kill everyone I don't like, then I'll grow into an animal. But they won't get off with a simple fight either. The skull said, it looks like it will be interesting. Our hero said, animal instinct. The scoundrel stood in front of the guards and said it, though he saw it with his own eyes, trying to say it quietly. Derek, I'm sorry, of course, but Dalton is a good citizen, and it's inconvenient to break into him at such a late hour. Or do you think otherwise? Derek said it didn't work out. They said to come in the morning. Derek is sick said, and why are you so out of your skin for some 400 crowns? Now there is something to live on. We need to get out into the world faster. Derek said, yes, it's not about money. I don't know what kind of Stitch this is and what he does. But first we need to catch him. And then it will be possible to get this Dalton. Stitch was already on Derek's ass. Derek said, so it's you? Hey, look at this from the kid I was talking about. We've been trying to figure out how to find you, and you came by yourself. The hero said, well, what are you thanking me for? I haven't beaten people for a long time. And then, as they say, himself ordered. Derek said, well, you're an impudent man. Stitch hit Derek and he flew away. The six took out a knife. Stitch put him to bed. Derek said, you're just a piece of meat for 400 crowns. The hero said, what's wrong with you? I won't calm down until I put you behind bars. Derek said, what the hell is this horseradish? And there is one for which they give 400 crowns. The hero said, it's too early. Who allowed you to fall on the ground? You are in this village, dared to touch a person who should not be touched at all. The skull said, you have a lot of balls. The hero said, get up. Dalton said, have you heard what they say in the village? This morning Derek Figori was wandering the streets like a homeless man. What did you do last night? Nothing like that. Just warmed up a little, said the hero, who finally came to fix the Clyde. Clyde said, not only repaired but also improved. So look, at the end I made a viburnum appendage, and attached a wire from the inside that you brought from the dungeon. The sword will hit even harder, because now it has a strong destructive force and without capsules. The hero said, what can you call it? A sword for sure. Dalton said, I don't even know. It's a little different from those worn by swordsmen. Clyde said, also about those capsules, special gas is needed for their use, and dwarves who know how to handle it can be counted on the fingers. So in this village we managed to get only 4 pieces. Stitch, you said you were going on the road soon. So he compiled a table of ingredients here, and wrote an explanation. If you show it to a specialist, he will be able to create new ones. Dalton said, well, for one thing I will ask merchants from other black markets. So there will be no problems with this. Clyde said, this is a weapon for you, and personally goes. The hero said, thank you both. The sword will be very useful to me. Clyde said, since you have a good weapon, then you need to call it something. There is no such thing in the world anymore, so we need to come up with a name, some kind of unique one. The hero said the name. The skull said the penetrator. Let there be a penetrator. The castle said, his highness has returned. Open the gate. Kingdom of Venice, Brandon Castle. Golden said, who's there? Said the guy in the sharks. It was Alfred, the second son of the ruler of Venice. A long time no see, brother. Hold the honors. Are there any successes? Golden said, yes, everything was not bad enough. Alfred said, but it seems to me, let's see, an arbitrary departure from the server front itself, an unauthorized exit of one company, invading a dungeon without the king's permission. If your father finds out about it, it won't seem enough to you. So, what happened to the artifact? When we got an audience with the king, don't say anything. The golden one said, don't say anything. Alfred said, I'll come up with an alibi for you. There may be problems if you ramble incoherently. So just go ahead and say yes, and take this with you when you go to the audience hall. There's one more thing you don't have to worry about. Forget Prince Harold, said the king's golden third son and devoted servant, Gerald Messer. I have come to an audience with your majesty. The king said, it's been a long time since we've seen each other. I heard that you've been very busy the last 2 weeks. Centurius, the 11th king of Venice. Alfred said, your majesty, Right after the herald heard about the elf uprisings and human resistance in the southwest, he immediately hurried to suppress the riot, so there was no way to report to you. I don't think he can be blamed for this. The girl said, an armed uprising of the elves. You say, even I'm the first to hear about this. But I am a general of the Western Front. Idril Henriant is an assistant to the first prince, the general of the Western Front. Besides, why did Prince Gerald, who guarded the northern border, need to suppress the uprising on the completely opposite side of the front? Alfred said, it's just a matter of efficiency, Conrad. My servant Conrad has an artifact orb of predictions. With his help, MV discovered the place of the uprising and passed this information to the herald who arrived at the castle for a regular report. Moreover, they rebelled for a reason. Their goal was to infiltrate the A-rank dungeon in order to take possession of the artifacts. If not for the immediate reaction of the herald, then everything would have turned out differently. The girl said, and the artifacts. Alfred said, only for this reason he broke the rules. You don't want to say that everything was in vain. The girl said, no. And how did he end it? Said the king. Golden said, I lost an entire company, with the exception of Lieutenant Blastock Bretfield. But I managed to destroy the artifact. Did the king say destroy? Golden said he was infected. I decided that it was better to destroy it, since it had been in the hands of the enemy. Alfred said, and as proof of the fulfillment of this mission, he brought the head of their leader. The king said, it's definitely an elf. Okay, it's good that you've returned safely. Go back to your place and rest. The golden one said yes. Alfred said, there is one more thing that should not be forgotten. Now you owe me. The skull said, it on some frog legs. It looks like the hero said that. What other frog legs? Look how well it's fried. The skull said, I have a feeling that the further we move to the southwest, the fewer traces of the presence of people here. Maybe it has to do with the destination. The hero said this because of the elves. Not far from the southwest there is a forest in which the last and largest settlement of the elves is located. They can't stand people, so they try not to let outsiders. The skull said, but you can safely use your abilities, and no one will notice it. A great place to go through the dungeon. The hero said, you rejoice early. There are rumors that the elves are very dangerous here. Some man with a mustache was running and shouting, we need to make our feet. Fuck me if they catch me. Elves were running after him. The man said, wait, we'll take him alive. The girl said, the southwest forest of the Kingdom of Venice, there is called the Dark Forest. What is so mysterious about it? A dungeon. Not a dungeon, I don't know, but there's no way to find the way. There is no data about this place. Even the Poiskevik is stupid. You can't see the sky because of the thickets. And the map is useless, because there is no way to determine the side of the world. It is not for nothing that it is called a dark forest. The skull said he found something to admire. The hero said, how could it be that the page got lost? What hay is that? A man tied up. Hey, man, wake up. Well, don't leave him like that. The skull said, Stitch, get away from here. The hero said, why? The skull said, although if you want to splash in water with wild spirits, then I won't interfere. The hero said, I wonder if these corpses were going to save this guy. If I don't come up with anything, they will get to me. So an explosion of air, of course, since they consist of water, then they don't mind an air attack. But how do you like that? The active arc lightning skill hits the target, with a low probability activates the stun effect. Devouring curses, I took into the deep thicket, they won't be able to find me. The guy said, where is that? What kind of place is this pond? Did you really save me? Stitch said, you're so excited. First calm down and tell me what happened. Why were you tied up there? The guy said, just don't tell me, you really don't know. There are creatures in the dark forest that can't just walk past people. The hero said, it's elves. Then why did you come to such a dangerous place? We had no choice but to drive through the dark forest, but on the way we came across elves. It turns out those torn body parts were once your companions. The guy said, I was just standing and looking at all this when the elves tied me up, and they were dragged into that damn pond. And those who came to the rescue, they whimpered. The hero said, then let's do this. I will take you to the road that will lead you out of the forest, and then you will return to the village on your own. Will you cope with this? The guy said, yes, for this I will be grateful to you for the rest of my life. The hero said, fine then. A minute. Animal instinct. I felt something was wrong as soon as I entered this forest. The further you go deeper, the sounds of animals are less often heard there, but they are there. So the exit is where the sounds come from louder. Found it. Go ahead. The hero said, Peterson, follow this road further, it will lead you out. The guy said, thank you for saving me. Finally I can get out, I'm alive. The skull said, Stitch, did you notice too? Stitch took out a sword. The guy said, why do you need a weapon? Really, what's the matter? Why a friend? Stitch said, come out. 3 elves appeared and a girl in the center. She said, give it to us. Stitch said, what if I refuse? The girl said, I'm not going to repeat it twice. Stitch said, it seems you didn't understand. Don't think that I'm trying to brag here. If you want to fight, then stop talking and don't fall already. The skull said if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even resist. The hero said shut up. Elf asked what to do to kill him. The girl said it looks like talking here will work better than violence. Stitch said what? The elf said Lady Alina, but the girl said we are not some kind of monsters that just cause harm to others. I'm tired of being constantly misunderstood. Be quiet, man. Do you know why we demand to give this man to us? Stitch said I don't know. Can you explain? The guy said what are you doing? I'm going to listen to the nonsense of these elves. The hero said don't worry. The girl said before I start explaining, I would like to hear what he told you. So that's the story he made up. Let's go sleepy. Man, I'll show you something interesting. Stitch said that. The girl said this is the cart, does nothing bother you? Stitch said a different direction was committed. If they were trying to hide in a dark forest from an attack, then the tracks would lead into the depths, but these tracks are directed outward. The girl said this first, and also, here recently. Stitch said hey, if you went down there, the girl said here is our territory. Stitch said there won't be any problems. Is this the second he called them his companions? All the people who were in this forest had the same labels. If you know, then try to say what it means. Stitch and how cleverly you deceived me. There is no excuse for you. Peterson said so what? You're a human being, so why did you believe these pointy-eared and not stand up for me? The hero said can you shut up? If you're so smart, then you didn't have to hide the truth. What's the point of doing what you're ashamed of yourself? And you're still saying something about the fact that I didn't stand up for you. The girl said what will you do? And what do you say now? Peterson started to run away. The girl said I myself. The hero said she hit a moving target so easily. And even in the most painful place, Peterson began to yell sorry. If you spare me, I promise I will never catch your eye again. I'll get better. Listen, I think you said you were a wanderer. Save me. We are Swami people. I will do anything you ask. Please. The girl said how unexpected. You are still one race. I thought you would at least try to protect him. Stitch said it's a pity. But first I want to say that I am one of those who can restrain their anger, so blocking your attack would be a pretense or stupidity. The girl said, do you understand why I have to destroy everyone who wanders in here? Stitch said of course, but I also know that the people of Venice consider elves dangerous. Only I didn't come here to count crows and I'm not going to wait for a knife in the back. The girl said what was it? He didn't even move. Is it really a magician? You can't tell by the look of it. Is this ring a magic item? The elves said something in their own language and prepared the explosive shot skill and fired. Crosswind. Stitch said Kate Sadie, if you were all equally counting on such an outcome of events, then why did they tell me about the details? We wanted to show that we don't kill anyone without a reason. The skull said don't waste magic power. Stitch, even if the limit increases, you've already used 125 and a possible 150. Stitch said I know without you that it's still not difficult to block, because she's aiming at the head all the time. Although it's also stupid to defend all the time. She will lose at least an arm or a leg if I attack. The skull said are you kidding? There won't be a wet spot left of her. Stitch said there was nothing to do about the explosion. The skull said the stoic guy. Stitch scattered two elves. The girl said with an ordinary magic item, you can't use several types of magic. Maybe this ring is an artifact. Stitch said Anna got it himself. What is she mumbling there? Is it just me, or did she say something bad about us? The skull says that it's not a sin to launch a curse into such a face. The girl hit Stitch in the chest with an arrow. Stitch said why me? Stitch used recovery. Did the girl say this recovery? Stitch said she looks at me from above. I thought I could resist the elves. The girl said what a useful skill. Stitch said even if you aim and shoot, everything is exactly at risk of not getting hit. An air explosion. The skull said yes. How is this possible? Stitch said it was an arrow. A single arrow prevented my attack. The skull said the explosion skill is a concentrated magical force that forms a projectile. If you get into the formed projectile, then with the help of the magic power scattering skill you can destroy it. But this is only theoretical. The core looks like dust and has no color. It is almost impossible to understand the situation in 2 seconds. By one movement, to shoot and hit. This elf is not so simple. Stitch said I think so too. What an unusual weapon. I didn't think he still had something left. Crosswind. He changed the trajectory with the help of the wind, then I'll bring him a turtle when I get closer. At this distance, I will repel his skill as soon as he shoots his ring, and I aim at his head. Now no matter how maneuverable the elves are, they are not able to move in the air, and there is nothing to do about it, even through whom feelings can become a problem. Stitch said for the first time since fencing classes I meet with such a strong opponent. The girl said what's the matter man? Why did you come to this forest? Or was he also going to kill his own kind? Stitch said I didn't come here for the sake of the elves. I didn't even have in mind to fight with someone. However, you will pay for what I wanted to do away with. Get ready, I'm still communicating with you kindly. At first I thought that I wouldn't get out of this battle alive. The girl said, wow, I think that's enough. Why are you surprised? Stitch said, just in case, I warn you, I only need a dungeon in this forest. It looks like there are 3 of them here. Fine, I won't go astray. I will not borrow the card for a long time. If we meet again, I will return it. The girl said, wait for it. Stitch said, I went. The girl said, wait for the man. Come back. Stitch said, that's what's the matter. Without a map, I went so many circles to the portal. I did not think that the entrance would be under a tree. The skull said it was strange to hear such a thing from a person who wanders and earns a living from it. Stitch said if it was a simple dungeon, then because of magic, the tree would not grow in this place. Wow, as not usual. The skull said, why are you surprised? Stitch said, this is the first time I've seen a plant sprout right in the dungeon. Poise path does not work. Stitch thought so, and said I have no experience exploring such dungeons. Therefore, my skill does not work. And if so, animal instinct. The skull said you're looking for a way by the echoes of the sword. Something like sound visualization. Well, you definitely won't die of hunger. And when did you start walking through the dungeons? Stitch said from the age of 12. If you don't do what you love and don't starve, then you have to be inventive. Why have we already gone so deep? It should have been already. Something will appear. But suspiciously quiet. We would definitely hear the heartbeat of the monster if he was here. The skull said these people always have a problem in their language. Who said there that overdimensionality is also a problem? Stitch said it's a monster too. Skull said roots Legos. Stitch said so all the roots nearby perceive me as an enemy. The skull said better not touch them. Stitch said there are only plants around. There is no heart in them, so it's still a bit of a joke to detect an enemy. However, I'm one of the few who hunted such creatures, and noticed something. There are a lot of them. But the level is so-so, the skull of a fairy tale. It seems to me now is not the time to engage in empty chatter. What is it? The skull said I told you not to touch it. We'll take it off. Stitch said then you'll be lecturing. Wait, it sucks my blood, really sucks I. Okay, I just wanted to find out that with these reddish roots, the monster sucks the blood out of living creatures because of this growing. They're getting closer. A beautiful wind, the skull said. But this skill is not intended for this. A little more and the beef would wither. Stitch said who did you call beef? I'll improve the moment when you get distracted. And I'll hit you once. So now let's try something more serious. Against such a tree will definitely not stand. Active skill ball. No matter who says, the effect is just awesome. The skull said absorb the magic power. Great, now, eat him. Stitch was thrown out of the dungeon, he said class, and now it would be necessary to deal with the abilities. Stitch said to the skull, hey, get up, and get up. The elf girl fell. Stitch said, what do you need? The girl said, I didn't come to fight. Stitch said, I thought you wanted to fight again, and almost hit you. And why did you come? Because of the map. I said I would return it when I finish my business. The girl said it because of the card. You can at least take everything. Return only one thing. Stitch said what? The girl said the locket. Stitch, did you say that about it? The girl said yes. Someone shouted to her, Madam Alina, what happiness you are alive. We didn't ask you not to go alone. The girl beat her elf servants. The skull finally said what? Is it happening again? The girl said please return it. In return she is ready to do whatever you say. Stitch said what do you think when you say that? How do you know what I can do to you? What if I refuse to be a villain? The girl said since you put it that way, I doubt that you can be called bad. Especially since you saved that person earlier, left alive after you found out that he was doing evil. It seems to me that you are far from a villain. Stitch said okay, let's say so. But what kind of medallion? Is he really that important to you? Well, if you can't talk, don't talk. Since you need it so much, then I will return it. Only I have one condition. The girl said tell me. I promise to do anything. Stitch said I'm going to destroy all the dungeon in this forest. The girl said okay what? Stitch said help me and when I get to the end, I'll give you the locket back, okay? The girl said okay. Stitch said I only have one condition. You will come with me and help me avoid meeting with the elves while I search for dungeons. And if they do get in the way, then you will have to cover me. You can say whatever comes to mind, I am your slave or something, or accompanies the criminal to the place of interrogation. It doesn't matter, come up with any excuse, just help me avoid collisions with the elves that I can. To get caught on the road, the girl said the forest has been home for me since birth. The grandmother who raised me told many different stories, including about people, according to her, people greedy for someone else's good, ready to commit any crimes for their own benefit. In reality, among all who came to Lesia was not a single disinterested person. But this guy was the first who, apart from evil deeds, showed his good sides. Stitch said that it was already hard for me to breathe. The skull said 2 warring races forcibly united into one team. How strange that you are trying to play friendship. Stitch skull, listen, please forgive me for forcing you to come with me. The girl said, I don't know if you're bad or good, but I definitely wouldn't call you good. Why do you want to conquer dungeons? If it's all about objects and artifacts, then why did a person choose the dungeons of our forest? There are many and others and outside the territories of the elves. Stitch said it's a long time to explain. It's important to someone else, I could tell. After 4 days, Stitch said it's not difficult to penetrate here. The passage is deeply located. The entrance is so hidden so that all sorts of crooks would not stick their heads in. The abyss is too deep. What kind of dungeons are there? This time insects. Insect monsters are easy to defeat. It's enough just to break your joints. Are you alright? Be careful, it's a giant ant. Another one. Stitch said stay behind. The skull said yes, burn you all to hell, fireball. The girl said these abilities, so his attacks when he was fighting some now were just flowers. Stitch said what an unusual smell. The girl said how many skills can be used with one artifact. Stitch said at least 10. By the way, how does it make sense for them to die like that? They rush into the fire so that it does not spread deep into the dungeon. What good fellows if monsters go for this? It's too late to say it. But the dungeon is called Small Bench here, as they managed to notice. Insects mainly live, in particular ants, most of them have solid armor. It's noticeable Stitch uses devouring curses. The girl said, do all artifacts have such properties? Stitch said no, maybe you won't believe it. Does it look strange that you can't take your eyes off? The girl said controlling magic is different from controlling energy. You extract a deeper essence. This artifact is a monster capable of manifesting magic, besides a dead man. That is, he can't hurt a person. The girl said she can't hurt. Let's go further. The skull said what? Do you think about the same thing she's talking about? Stitch said that's not the point. It's late to ask, of course, but can I trust you? The skull said do you have a choice? Stitch said of course not. We've already gone deep. Why is everything so confusing here? That's why even the elves don't come here once again to this dungeon. Wait a bit, I'll write it down. Animal instinct. What do you mean? Why are there so many of them? Of course, I will try to determine by the sounds, but this dungeon has a complicated structure. For the first time I encounter such. Moreover, I hear that all the aisles are full of ants, and I feel a lot of wiggles. They prevent me from accurately building a scheme. The girl said it's a difficult dungeon that no one managed to go through to the end. It's impossible to track down the guardian using conventional means. Stitch said what to do then? Hide, don't breathe, and be quiet, they see everything. These cockroaches, the skull said in such a non-cunning way you can track. It seems they saw the ashes and went out to check whether they were able to transfer their pupae. Stitch said pupae, and with their help it will be possible to track. The skull said think for yourself that it turns into a doll. Stitch said of course the caterpillar. The skull said, so these caterpillars come from the ant's uterus. If this ant cave is a dungeon, then it is the uterus that will be in the most guarded place, and those who are not far from it, and there are guards of the dungeon. Isn't it natural? Stitch said. And I see the pot is cooking again. You suggest finding a place to find the uterus with the help of ants that shift eggs. The skull said if you understood, then use me immediately after the ants appear. The girl said the idea is certainly good. But this dungeon did not appear yesterday. I don't think that no one has ever tried to do this before. If this method works, the elves would have cleaned this cave long ago, wouldn't they? The skull said it's easy to say the narrow passages leading to the sentinel are clogged with ants. How can a dozen elves handle it? Don't worry, I have thoughts about this. Just act and that's it. Stitch used a fireball. The girl uses a camouflage cloak. Stitch said great, you didn't talk about it. The skull said go ahead, still far away. Stitch said a lot of them. With the help of Alina's skill to make a fuss and then look for a quieter place. What is it? What kind of method is this? The skull said you're not happy with something. Stitch used an animal instinct. No, it seems that I feel something in the vicinity of as if someone's admiration. We got almost to the very end, there's not much left. Stitch said what is it? Made by the hands of elves. Most likely the things belonged to those who died in this dungeon and then their bodies were eaten by maggots. However, even if I pick them up, I still won't be able to give them to the families of the deceased. The skull said if no one needs it, let's take them for ourselves. They will be useful for the aura to curses. Stitch said for such a strong skill, cursed items. But will an elf help a person pick up elven items? Stitch said Alina K, can I take them for myself, since they are not needed by the sick? The girl said, what are you talking about? You're out of your mind. These are cursed items. If you're unlucky, you can die. Stitch said, I'm guarded by an artifact, don't worry. I don't know what you're thinking, but if there are no problems, do what you want. The skull told us they will be very useful. Collect all the Stitch. Stitch said, great, and now let's move on. That monster in the middle on the rope is the guardian. The girl told us not to delay. Stitch said, it really looks so disgusting. Stitch from behind a whole flock. Ant earrings from behind ants. From all sides, these stupid ants. We need to stop talking and finish off the uterus. Fireball. What? They managed to grow up and are now guarding the queen. How amazing. You know what we can do, right? Stitch said, another solution to all the problems. Aura to curses. The girl said, listen, I'll deal with those that are behind and you for now. Stitch said, don't go to the side. Stitch killed the ants and said they coped with the soldiers' ants perfectly. And now I am all of you filthy ants. I will sacrifice for the sake of a new ability. Cursed items, equipment that has been abandoned in the dungeon for a long time, is exposed to cursed energies, and as a result, objects that have become cursed harm their users. For example, reduce physical capabilities and create anomalies. So no one except the researcher has touched the power of the artifact. Suppresses cursed items, I can safely carry them with me, but the curse aura skill cancels this suppression, which hangs debuff to the opponents who are nearby. It's a double-edged sword. Elena, don't climb on the Rajon. Stand there. Aura, curses, what power it released? I did the right thing. The skull said the right thing. The aura of the curse works exactly like that. Now let the elf do the rest. Stitch said, Elena, finish off the queen. I won't be able to hold back for a long time. The clan said, damn ant bastards, this is the payment for the fact that you devoured my brothers. Stitch said, close your ears and stand still. Electric arc, devouring curses. Elena said, I see such a mad and at the same time a terrible person like you. Stitch said, I can't say anything in my denial. The limit of the magical power of the artifact mortem has grown. The cursing skill has increased, so the second dungeon has been cleared. Escape. 3 days later, the last dungeon seems to have been called Mahogany. The girl said, right, this is the oldest and the most cruel dungeon in the forest. Stitch said, don't worry, I've become much stronger than I was in Small Bing. The skull said, chatterbox. The girl said, listen to the end. I mean that the danger is posed by elves. Elves, the Mahogany dungeon is not far from the place where the elves live. It's difficult, it will slip past the elves, remaining unnoticed as we have done so far. Now you have to listen to me and do as I say.